For this week's episode, I had the absolute pleasure of getting to talk to Debra Egli Flanagan and had the awesome surprise guest of Mom, Debra's mom, to join us and talk about family and what it's looked like over the years and now as a mother of five adult children and grandchildren. It was like sitting down with a nice warm hug from Mom. So join me on this week's episode of the SP Mamas podcast. Okay, you guys, welcome back to the SP Mamas podcast. My name is Carolina, and I am the street parking, pregnant, and postpartum coach. And today I am just so honored to have as my guest Debra. Oh man, now I've already forgotten. Egli Flanagan?
Yep.
Okay, good. And as a special surprise extra guest, Debra's mom from Wednesdays with Mom. Hi, guys.
Yep. Hello.
Welcome. So, Debra, you joined street parking. And for those of you guys that don't know, this is Debra, also known as Street Parking at 61. And Debra, you joined street parking about a year ago. Is that right?
Right, in December.
Awesome.
Yep.
And we'll get into it a little bit further, but before that, you were running and doing some other type of fitness. How did you find street parking in particular?
My daughter actually introduced me to it. She had been following street parking, and when she saw that I wasn't able to find a CrossFit box that I could connect with, she's like, "Mom, have you considered this?" And
Awesome.
that's how I found y'all.
Amazing. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And you are a mom of 5, and you were just telling me, so today is really special, and this is special that we get to have both of you here because there is just so much richness in motherhood and parenthood and womanhood right here in this picture. So if you could just do me a favor and talk a little bit about your mom and your normal routine together, and then what is behind you. Earlier you pointed out some of the family pictures that are back there.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because I have an opportunity every Wednesday and this week Tuesday to come up and help my mom. When COVID hit, that meant that all her aides no longer were coming in. So the beauty of having 5 kids is you have a lot of help. So I think I come and she usually has a list of things that she wants me to do, and we usually do something street parking related. She's always open to getting her fitness in, and she has her own exercises she does as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really cool because this is the home that I was raised in, and
Wow.
So I get a little emotional because I think it's so special that I come home to Mom, but also where there's so much history and richness here. So I was sharing with you earlier that I don't know if you can see my mom's desk right there.
Yes.
So those are on her top shelf is the 5 children, and then underneath are her 20 grandchildren, and then she has 23 great grandchildren with 2 more on the way. So she just surrounds herself with everyone she loves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Mom was she was a nurse for a few years till she had children of her own. But I think for me, my motherhood journey, I knew that I could call my mom anytime, day or night. I remember just early on with teething, all kinds of stuff, fevers. And it was just lovely to know that Mom was only too happy to pick up the phone and tell me cold water baths, just more primitive stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, my own mom just was visiting me here for about a month, and she just left on Sunday. And just that time with her was so special, and the time with her and my daughter, and seeing the bond that my daughter and my mom have was just really, really sweet. And I feel really lucky that I got to have her, that I get to have her around and in our lives. Okay, so Debra, you are a retired stay-at-home mom, retired marriage and family counselor. Can you tell me a little bit about your days now outside of street parking and visiting mom? What else do you like to spend your time doing or fill your time with?
Yeah, so I love sewing and crafting. I also have grandchildren that live like an hour and a half away, so I care for every other Friday. I go up there. I'll fix food for mom the day before I come up here. It's really just a free-flowing, evolving days.
Yeah.
So really not anything to, just whatever you feel like doing.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. And so you have 5 children, and I want to say that Levi was your firstborn. Is that right?
He was last.
Oh,
He was
last.
last.
Oh,
He was
okay.
the fifth.
Okay. Yeah. So looking back at these 5 different births and 5 different children, is there anyone in particular that anyone experienced that feels like it stands out a little bit more for one reason or another, one that might have really taught you something that you'd like to share in terms of the actual birth or pregnancy experience in particular?
Yeah, I think, especially with mom here beside me, it's and knowing that there's 5 children, it's that in 1982, 4 out of the 5 were having children, and mine was the last in October. So picture, I am hearing birth stories, mothers' birth stories that were very difficult. The birth story of, let's see, Jenna in February of 82, another C-section May of 82, my twin sister who had a mid-forceps delivery in June, and here I am to have a baby in October. I mean, just filled with a lot of anxiety heading into it. So when my water broke at 2:00 in the morning and there was intense pain, right away I was like, I'm gonna die. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Fortunately, the baby came very fast. I had very fast deliveries, but I didn't know that at the time. And it was a 45-minute drive to the hospital.
Wow.
So I remember I put on a jumper because I was having diarrhea and feeling like I could throw up.
Yeah.
So then I arrived at the hospital and I just threw myself on the ground. And I remember thinking, you hear these stories that you get a shower and you pack your lunch and then you breathe. And I'm like, this is crazy. I remember thinking I could have had the baby there right in the waiting room. I mean, when I threw myself on the ground, I had no idea if my skirt was up, down, shooting the moon at someone. I was like, but like, so not even caring when you're in that place. And then I remember going up and I was 5 centimeters dilated and I'm like, okay, this is good. And she was born 2 hours later. So yeah, so for me, once I get to 5 centimeters, I go 1 centimeter every 5 minutes. So it's just, yeah, so it's just, but what you have to know is that it's so scary because it's like, I remember with the following birth, they're like, okay, we're going to break your water. And it's like, I just still think it's like facing the hardest wad you'll ever face. And you know it's going to take you 50 minutes, hang on, and just try to breathe. So by Levi, like my 5th one, I was like almost, I mean, it's weird, but like I was almost suicidal because I was so scared. That's why, like, I remember Miranda speaking about her anxiety, and I'm like, I connect with her. Like, I don't know why, but I just carried a lot of anxiety with the pain related to it. Because one, I'm scared of needles. So I'm scared of an epidural. I'm scared of the pain. And so it's like I'm stuck between like a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
But I never heard women like speak of it. They often spoke like like, oh, I'm having a baby and this is my story. I often felt alone with that, of how scared I was.
Yeah.
And that's why by my fifth one, I took a tribe of women in with me. My sister, sister-in-law, friend, my two daughters, and the midwife and her wife. There were 7 women. I was like, I'm figuring this out. Like, I'm bringing every woman from my support. And picture, I got there at midnight, and he was born 2 hours later. So it's just, I go so fast.
Yeah.
But it's a hard fast, you know, where it's like, I figured out with each delivery, like, I needed more support.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Was there anything in particular that your tribe of women, I mean, I think that their presence or your awareness of their presence alone is probably pretty significant, but was there anything in particular that they were able to do for you or remind you of that helped?
I think I posted in one of my street parking Instagram IG post that I was out to eat with the girls that I work out with. Mm-hmm. And right beside it, I showed on that same day, women holding me up, literally, like, picture you are getting out of the car, you're getting ready to lay down, you're getting ready to deliver in a half hour. Well, you're not, you're really leaning on people. And I just thought it was so, like, such a metaphor that I'm just a firm believer in women leaning on women and needing other women, because I knew they had walked beside me. I knew that they had walked this journey. Yeah. Like, I just, that alone was enough. I remember after my first one, I was like, why doesn't the world stop after a woman has a baby? I remember looking out the window, seeing cars go by, and I'm like, this is insane. Like, all traffic should stop. Like, just like, this is incredible. A woman giving birth, that journey, and people are just like whistling Dixie, you know, going to work. And so I just found that I'm going to find my people that aren't whistling Dixie, that are like, that was amazing, or just, yeah, just, I think, and if I had to have one more and do it again, I'd have a doula. Really? Like, you learn as you go along. Yeah, I think I would have then another level of trained support. Like, that's why I follow Erica. Like, if I had another baby, I'd have her. Yeah, and then you learn as you go along. Like, I learned with each one, like, bring more. Right.
It's amazing. And actually, when you were pointing out some of the pictures behind you, I was reminded of this very specific turning point in my labor when I'd been pushing for a long time, and it was just really difficult, and she was kind of stuck, and the midwife came in and she said, I want you to think of your mother and your mother's mother and all of the other women in your life that have come before you.
Yes.
Think of their presence and their support, and imagine them here with you, holding you and breathing with you. And that, having her remind me of that and being able to connect to that, I really think was a big turning point in my labor. And Callie was born not too long after that. And being able to connect to that, the greater, I don't know, energy and power of all of the women.
I love those were thoughts I pondered as I would get anxiety leading up to, let's say, weeks, months. I'd be like, women have been doing this. Women have been doing this alone. And I would just be like, they did it. Like, I can do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the time I was ready to deliver with Levi, I was walking in saying, get the scissors, just cut the baby out. And here my midwife told me afterwards, she said, Debra, you were in shock. Like, yeah. But you would think the more you have, the easier it gets. But then you hear these stories like, yeah, no, all the rest were fast. But then that fifth one, that last one really got lodged in there. And I'm like, oh, brother, like every story I hear, it's like they say the more, you just couldn't trust anyone else's story. But yet, yeah. So I carried a lot of anxiety for whatever reason. I'm not good with pain.
Yeah.
But
now I am curious, especially as, like, with your experience as a marriage and family therapist,
In the transition, something that I see come up a lot with new moms or new parents is this struggle with a sense of identity, or kind of stepping into this new role of parenthood, and maybe all of the struggles and the uncertainty and the changes that come with that. Is there something, what was that like for you? Let's say in particular with the first birth versus the fifth, and then your experience with other people and other parents. Do you have any suggestions for how to navigate that transition?
Oh, I feel like I'm not a really good one to ask. I guess I'll say I'd have to put on two different hats to answer that. One would be
Okay.
from my own experience, and you have to realize my dream of all dreams was to be a mother of a large family. I played with dolls from early on. Mom taught us everything with our dolls, how to change them, feed them, burp them, as if they were babies, as if it was real. Our dolls were just so.
And you would ask them, what should I be doing today? Is it time for the feeding? They wanted the doll doing exactly through the day what you would do with a real baby, but it went on by detail all day long.
And so picture having a twin sister and the two of us playing dolls. Well, then we started babysitting. Well, people were like, we want the twins to babysit. We could babysit a family of 5. People would go on skiing vacations and we would take them to football. Like, we just absorbed the family. Well, then I wanted a family. I wanted a big family. So my identity was in motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's more my struggle is now as an empty nester. That would be really, that's really a struggle now. So does that answer your question? Like, I didn't struggle with that parenthood because it's like, it was an unfolding of something so wonderful. It's more now like, how does it unfold? And I mean, it's wonderful being able to come and visit mom, because it's like, it gives me opportunities that I wouldn't be able to do with all the kids. And we lived in Tucson, Arizona and California. It's like, I came home because I'm like, I wanted to be with my mom, spend time with her, you know?
Yeah, no,
So I don't know, but I would have that question could also be, I mean, the question could also be answered from an MFT perspective, but that would be so unique to each client. Like, so speaking from my own experience, I can't really relate because I just like embraced it like gangbusters.
Wow. Yeah, no, I think that's,
you know, like people will ask me, especially since I was a single mom, also for 2 years, people would be like, are all 5 of these yours? Do they have the same father? And I loved my answer. It was like, you know what? All these children have the same father and they were all planned and wanted. It's like, I loved it. It's like, no, I own this. I own this. And it was a dream. It's a dream. I loved being a mom. Like I said, I started with dolls and babysitting. And I think even the marriage and family degree, there's a mystery of how families functions. And that's a whole nother, I just think I have absorbed myself with family from early on to even studying it, a home ec major, which is the economy of how a home is run, to how does a family function and what makes healthy families and not healthy families. So I was able to do that after my children were raised, to look back and go, why did this not work well? What did, what didn't? And I'm still figuring it out. It's still, because now I have adult children and grandkids.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that's a beautiful response. And it's such an important perspective to get to hear about and to learn about, that one person's struggle is not the same as someone else's. So while the transition of becoming a mom might be difficult for one person, it might not be for someone else. And it sounds like for you, it was fulfilling a role that you had been preparing for since you were little.
Yes. And then picture, like I have a twin sister and she's having 4 children. So all of us started having our babies, all the siblings in 1982. So, and we were all having them then 2 years later. So I hardly even had to go outside of my own family to find a tribe of women that we were all having babies together. So between my children and Denise's, that was 9 kids and 2 moms, and we were stay-at-home moms. So picture going to a park and going to each other's houses to make Christmas cookies. It's like, and then being involved in like a church activity that's why right now street parking is so important for me. Like I started when I did street parking, I put a sign up on Facebook that said, I need some women to work out with. I did not come this far in life to work out alone in my garage.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm just all about wrapping myself with women. I don't care what age. It's like, get over here.
I know. Yeah, I love it. I see that. I see you reaching out and connecting with the other women and setting up these, workout together outside in the park and meeting strangers and inviting them to work out. It's
I think too,
amazing.
Mom and Dad showed us so much in this home, so much playfulness. And that's something that my dad was playful till the day he died, right, Mom?
Yeah.
He was just playful, and I inherited so much of that. It's like, you have 5 kids. I'm like, yeah, I could have had 10. Like, I have that much energy. Like, yes, we had fun. But just, I think that I don't suffer from lack of energy or, and a playfulness that gave us Mom and Dad.
One thing that we were aware of when we were raising our family was I didn't want the girls so bogged down with, not bogged down, but so much enjoying things like with their dolls and everything. But as they grew into teenagers, I didn't want to give them so much responsibility in the home. I tried to keep a balance so that they still wanted a home with children. In other words, I could see other girls that the mothers just turned over to the older girls, so too much of the home responsibility. Those girls do not want a family. They do not want to stay at home.
I didn't even know how to do a load of laundry till I was married.
Yeah. So
I mean, we all loaded the dishwasher, but Mom was like, no, your time will come. So I'm like, and I love doing laundry to this day. I just find laundry to put in. I just love it,
But I didn't want to, although if I could have given them a lot of responsibility, I didn't want to tip the scale so far.
Yeah.
That they didn't like it for themselves later on in their life. They wanted to be a homemaker.
Yeah, and you gave them some space to enjoy being kids and teenagers.
But yet keeping a balance of them learning,
how
to set stable things, have their help in all those areas. But I remember thinking about that as they grew up, because I saw the opposite happening in too many of their friends' lives.
Right.
They're no more interested.
And we were the youngest. Often people say the youngest. It's like I love all the things like laundry and anyway.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Well then, okay. So then tell me a little bit about this transition. I guess, like you said, becoming an empty nester. It sounds like, so I know that you went back to get your master's degree. When was it? It was 40 something?
Yes, that would have been, so when even like, maybe when I'm in my late 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where did that come from, and what inspired you to go back and do that? And was there something that you were looking for to do with that?
Yeah, I think that's interesting because, I only practiced for 5 years. So it's not like I had this big badass degree, profession or anything. It was more, there was a mystery. There really was a mystery. I wanted to know what happened behind those closed doors and how do families work. I think I just went into it not with the full awareness of balancing the emotional pieces of all the children. That's a whole nother area to delve into. It said I was busy with the practical aspects, but if I could go back and do it over again, to really hold each child, not just physically and be there for them and play, but really to hold them in that emotional space. And so I felt like there were some things I wanted to understand about myself, my family of origin. And it really was 3 years of therapy, you know, of learning. You had to do a generational genogram. You had to find out your weaknesses, the addictions, all the things that propel a family to where we are today.
Right.
So really, to be honest with you, it was really, I think, a journey that I really wanted to figure some things out for myself. And then even my practice, I operated on a sliding scale because I wanted it to be available to those that didn't have insurance or didn't have money. Because as a single mom for 2 years, I felt that. I knew what it was like to be poor. And so my practice was really in that niche. You know,
Okay.
It's like people just came in and I just had them say, I just said, whatever you can afford. And that was my way of giving back to all the people that had given to me during some really hard times of aloneness. And Mom and Dad were a huge support during that time to allow me to stay home. They were like, we will pay for your rent because we want you to be home with the children. So for 2 years, Mom and Dad, I owe a lot to them. They said, we will sustain you during this time. And so they did.
Mom, is there anything that you would want to share about, I guess, maybe your own experience with motherhood, or maybe with Debra in particular, what you saw from the perspective of being her mom as she was becoming a mom, that you think that stands out?
I guess I would say that I always wanted to be in the home, and it was really more just as important to be in the home when they're teenagers as it is when they're 3-year-old. There's a need there almost as much. But many times I could have worked, could have had a job, and I know sometimes that's very necessary. I'm not putting down that aspect of it, but somehow I just felt the challenge. It's work out a budget, do whatever you have to do, but something can work out so that you have a little more tabs of what's going on.
Mom, is there anything when you think of me in particular, like with all the 5 children, when the journey that I was having in motherhood, that you saw like some things maybe when I was a single mom? What was that like for you?
Well, of course, it was a very crucial time where we felt the support was needed more than ever. That was a given. But I think that some of the things that come through would be because we did have frugal times, not poor, we weren't poor by any means, but because we were frugal, that came through with Debra, that she was able to cope with some of that stage that she was going through. That you can tighten the budget, you can manage this or that, and I think that was the thing I noticed, that she was able to handle maybe better than I was doing.
Wow. I wouldn't say better than. I mean, you modeled for me how to survive with not much. You showed me how the home, we can figure it out.
You have to budget, and I guess little practical things that you just do in the home, regardless of the different stages you go through. I was thinking the other day when we had our envelope system with our money, and different envelopes were for different things. I remember we started the children up, so ridiculous to think of it now, but their first job was emptying the waste baskets, and their allowance was 10 cents a week. And as they got older, gave them more responsibility, so that by the time they were 10th grade, they were getting $1 a week.
I remember that. It was so exciting. They were all set out. Yeah, first grade, you got 10 cents, second grade, 20 cents. It was exciting.
So silly things like that were part of our regimen, I guess you would be, raising the children. Little things that we're kind of a joke now, the envelopes, you know.
No, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. I think too, just the beauty for me of being able to come and help mom now is, you know, I just know that they've really held me during a really hard time. And there wasn't, and it was financial. I mean, they paid my rent, you know, and I'm just so grateful to mom and dad who didn't.
It seems like there's always areas where you can still be supportive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless if it's whether it's not necessarily finances, but just to know that you understand a little bit of the different situations, which we're finding now. We have many different situations, and my husband and I always said it's unconditional love. You have to practice unconditional love. The older you get, the more situations you are aware of. You just give up and say unconditional love, because
So I think, Caroline, I just had this image of you working out with the baby last night live.
Yeah.
And you know, you are in the prime of being able to love your daughter, hold her, hug her, feed her. And the challenge for mom and I now is she has adult children and so do I. And it's, how do we connect? How do we love on them in a way that's meaningful? They feel it, and they're all different. And so I think on this day of election, I mean, ours go from liberal to conservative to, you know, voting for opposite people, but how in our differences, mom and I will speak of that, you know, how can I, so that's my challenge every day now, is that I want to be with my adult children. So I have one that lives at home and I do get to work out with, and it's so fun. And I don't take it for granted for 1 minute. It's like, or like, I think the one video it showed, like she was carrying me on her back. It's like, this is so cool. Like, you're holding your baby. In 20 years, she could be holding you. Like, she could be piggybacking you, possibly. This is not far, you know what I mean? But just, I don't know. That's just, I mean, my heartbeat is just family, whether it's having my own, MFT, or even now the Tribal Women with Street Partner, that last meetup on Saturday. It's like, it was so rich. I felt like I love them. It's like to say, I'm loving strangers, but they're not strangers. They're women who are just really great people.
So we always have needs. I'm realizing now, regardless of any situation, there's never a time we don't have a personal need of some sort. There's always an area where we need somebody's support in different ways.
There's the cord, there's the phone on a cord over there ringing. How appropriate is that, the house?
That's perfect.
Where else do you have a, let's just let the phone ringing.
Yeah, well, I won't get that done.
Nope, I'm not getting it either.
Great.
You can't get the phone. It's not a cordless one, and we're not getting up to get it. How real is this in a 16-year-old house?
That's so great.
This is great. The phone's ringing.
Oh, goodness.
Can't get it. Oh my word, I feel like this is like a therapy moment. We focus on this. Mom and I keep saying we can't get it. What does that mean? We can't get it. We have each other though.
Maybe it's, we'll just let it ring. I'm just gonna let it ring.
Yeah.
Well, I just love, you know, this perspective that I think, like you just mentioned, I'm in this moment where I'm holding and carrying, and it's so new and feels like really overwhelming. But if I can take a step back or outside and get some perspective, that there will be many, many moments of learning and mothering, and that these moments, that while sometimes they feel really overwhelming, are just an instant, just a moment in time, you know, and there will be a lot of others, and that is comforting, I think. The perspective is helpful.
I want to say
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. No, I didn't know if you were wrapping it up. I want to make sure to thank you for just inviting us, but maybe we're not done yet.
Mhm. Well, I would love to just hear a little bit more. I mean, so really, I'd love to hear anything you have to say. But in particular, you talk a lot about, or you've mentioned a lot, the being fascinated by families and
Mhm.
how families work, and I think, I find this idea of like holding or supporting children, the emotional being, really, really interesting and important. Is there anything um, that you could share that stands out to you, or that you think would maybe be helpful to someone else here in the street parking community, that's related to that, whether it's with our own families or the larger family? Just anything from what you've learned in your own experience, or in your life experience, or your professional experience, about what makes families work.
Yeah, I think, it's really unfolding for me right now. I feel like, I was raised in the church, so I've had a lot of spiritual pouring into.
Mhm.
I got my degree from a seminary because I wanted to integrate theory, theology, and spiritual formation. So I feel like I've been counseled uh, and heard great words of wisdom. Um, I know all the theories and theology, but yet I'm at a new place, and it's that there's some deep work I have to do subconsciously. That's the journey I'm on right now. If I had to be a therapist all over again, I wouldn't do marriage therapy. I would
Mm,
say, you two need to go and do your own work, because I think and this, like I said, this is just new in the past year that I see that we all come into relationships with 20 years of family of origin issues, whatever. No one's perfect. And we
mhm,
bring that in, we start our family and we think happily ever after.
mm,
And so really, I'm at a point that I'm just now doing more of a deeper subconscious work of why I do what I do.
yeah.
Um, and I think that takes it to a whole nother level of just getting wisdom on, I can't get along with so-and-so. Well, there's a reason, and it goes much deeper than I think we even know. So I'm on a new journey with psychoanalysis, learning, but I still have so much to learn, even to interact with my children. Some things, it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Well, now I have an opportunity to talk about that. Where did that come from, Deborah? Usually it goes way back. And so anyway, I don't know if that answers. It's just I'm learning more that you can keep going deeper and deeper, you know?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, I'm searching for, like, what's the quick fix? What's the tool
Uh,
well, I'm just saying, like, in general, like, what are some tips that you can to make motherhood easier, or your marriage easier, or whatever easier? And while there might be some practical things that are helpful there, it's never just that easy. And we all, at any stage, probably have more looking inwards to do. That the fixes are probably already within us.
yeah, yeah. And there are, we can point the finger and go, really hurt me. That really hurt what they said. My leg from the box jump was still not healed. Well, it's
Yeah.
like, that's now the work that I'm doing. It's not about the other person. It's like, Deborah, what did that touch?
Yeah.
Why did that even evoke that?
Right.
Where did that come from?
Right.
So that's where I'm like, wow. And to think that I thought I was going to do marriage therapy with two people walking through the door. Now I'm like, if I had to do it over, I'd be like, well, I think I've even heard Juliana Miranda talk about this, that they each did their own,
Yes.
and then they each came together. And I'm like, that's ideal right there.
Yeah.
Because you're owning your own stuff. Then you go, okay, this is what I want to bring. So
yeah.
I think the older you get, you find out you still have more work to do, you know?
Yeah. You are such an inspiring woman, and you always bring so much positivity to the street parking community, to your social media posts. Is there, well, first I'd love to know from Mom, is this how she's always been? Is this something that you saw in her from a younger age? Just such
Have
a
I always
bright
been
and
joyful and
positive.
Yeah, I think pretty much so. She has lots of energy.
Yeah.
Like more so now he is lessening. I can think of as being pretty ideal for her situation.
I think Carolina, the reason I can be a bright light is because when you know brokenness and you don't allow it to make you bitter, you say, I'm going to become a better person from this. And I'm able to feel very deeply. Every post I read, I want to say, you're amazing, because I know what it's like to walk really, really hard, a hard journey. And so I have a gift of being able to just go like, wow, like you're amazing. Like, because you are, because I know what it's like to have been so low and not been supported, or been supported. Like I've walked in both shoes. And out of that, I'm like, I don't want to bruise the fruit. Like, don't like, even with like, I see how tender you are with your baby, you know, like yesterday, you know, picking her up, it's like, and we're all just grown babies. We're all just like, want that tenderness. And so I think, and then just a lot of energy. Yeah, of course. But
Yeah,
I just like to say, because I think people think that life must be so wonderful for me all the time. No, it's that I dig really deep to go, I'm going to find joy today. This is a scavenger hunt. Today, I don't have 5 children to go and pick up and do that, but I'm going to find joy. I'm going to find joy. And like today, it was freezing cold. And I just said, I'm going to that track. We are going. And so I think Mom and Dad showed me how to persevere. And so you apply that and you just go.
Yeah. Oh, so that's like, so beautiful.
I don't want people to think that, I don't know. I guess I just want them to know that I've had some really dark, lonely, hard times, and I just have felt so much love. And I'm like, I don't want to hurt someone else by an unkind word.
Yeah.
See, can we see our motto, love one another there? Can we?
That's your family motto.
Yeah. I just try to, I just want to be an encourager.
I see that. You are. You really are.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's
I just
so
want
wonderful.
to say thank you so much for the community. It's just really been a stronghold for me during this time of being an empty nester and finding my way.
Yeah.
And so I really consider street parking a type of family for me. I'd like to go on and sit and send out an encouraging note, and you know, I really find joy in that. I mean, I love my posting. It's just fun editing and adding music. It's like, I sort of have it as a part-time job, to be honest with you. It's like, and I save it for a special time of the day. I get my coffee, and it's like, I just sit there and do street parking. You really should hire me. I'll come and work there and do.
We'd love to. Although I don't know if I have that power, but we'd love to.
It's like, really, I do. It's like a part-time job. I just love it.
She gives me new ideas all along, you know.
And Mom's always so willing, you know.
The ideas are very creative. Between the two of us, we have some creative ways for me to show off whatever she's wanting to show off.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Mom's getting tired.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mom. It was so nice to meet you, and I look forward to seeing more of your workouts. Debra, is there anything else that you want to share or leave with the community, with our moms, or with anyone here in general?
I just want to say that you're never alone. I see you. Think of through divorce, a son with a closed head injury, open heart surgery. I mean, we could go on and on. Like, I don't have to create a litany of things, but I just want you to know that in my heart, I see all of you, and you're not alone. And I want to just go, that's why I say a lot of my posts, it's like, I see you. And I'll never forget last year at Turkey Trot, my daughter was cheering everyone on. And what she said is, I see you, number 46. I see you, number 55. And that spoke to me. It didn't say dig harder. You can go faster. And so what I want to say is, no one has to go harder or faster. I see you right where you're at. And that's enough. Because see, that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
And that's why I can, as we're gentle with ourselves, we can pass that love on.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Now we're getting all philosophical and whatever, but it said, I love you guys. You're strength. I love you guys. There's something in my heart. I love you guys.
Thank you. Well, we love you too so much.
And I wanted to say thank you. It was an honor. It's an honor to think that I might have something worthwhile to say. That's really what you're saying. That's an honor. That my words have value.
They do.
We matter.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Debra. I just feel like this has just been like a big warm hug that I really needed today.
So, yes, and I extend it and I receive it. When people say things, also a positive note to me, I say, I receive it. I said, I feel it, and I tuck it. I say, I tuck it in my heart. I tuck, because we all want, and then my hashtag is in this together. I love that. I want everyone to know we're in this together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey.
Thank you so much.
And
yeah, it's
you.
just been a real honor. It's been a real pleasure.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Debra.
Bye-bye. Love you.
Love you.